morning, or good evening to wherever this finds you. Welcome to the FunHawg Pod with your hosts, Matt Cook and Butch Mayhew. Let's let that fun ensue.
Welcome to the FunHawg Podcast. I'm Matt Cook. I got my dear friend Butch Mayhew here with me. We're excited to have some fun tonight. Butch, how was your week?
My week it's going well. It's going well. I mean, we only just recorded about a week ago, so it feels like a normal schedule where we used to be.
We're back to the back-to-back weeks. I mean, we're basically on the road. I mean, we're just road warriors at this point.
Making it happen. But overall, week's going well. It's towards the end of the week for me, and I'm looking forward to the upcoming weekend.
Nice. I like it. You got a new background photo there. Tell us about that.
This is not new. For those that are audio-only listeners, this is Monkey D. Luffy, and one day he's going to be king of the pirates. He is the main character in an anime manga called One Piece, which has been running for a very long time. Last year, they had a Netflix live-action show, and it's worth checking out. They're working on season 2.
Now, I'm not into anime. Never have been. What is, like, the recommended kind of starter? You know, you're running a 5K, right? Like, I'm a hardcore runner. Like walk me through what's the couch to anime program? Maybe I can do anime from my couch. What's
couch to anime? Oh man, I'm not an anime expert, so I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to share these things. But One Piece is a good intro to anime, but I'll warn you, there's over 1,000 episodes, so it is a commitment if you want to stick with it. Probably a good anime to watch that is, rich in story is Full Metal Alchemist, the Brotherhood version.
Okay.
There's lots of anime things that happen, lots of story. It's great. That's one of my oldest sons. That's his favorite right now. But Full Metal Alchemist, there's kind of two versions. You're looking for Brotherhood.
Brotherhood. Okay, now is it... Maybe you could contrast it with running, right? So it's like, hey, if you told me you wanted to run a marathon, but you'd never run before, I would say, hey, you should go run a much shorter distance first. With Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood Edition, I just watch an episode and it'll make sense? Is it like a TV show? Do I need to kind of develop the characters over?
The characters develop over time, right? And so a lot of animes are based off of mangas, which are basically like comic books that you read backwards if you've seen a manga. But yeah, I mean, there's no intro. It's just you watch it and you decide, hey, do I like it or not? But each of these are in unique worlds with different rules and all these things, and there's a lot of story building, character building, and
is it going to feel like when I watch cricket? I think, hey, this is an impressive game, but I don't understand the rules, so this doesn't make sense to me?
No, you would get it. You'd get it. I mean, they teach you about the world through different things that happen and whatnot. I will go ahead and just make a note, right? This is kind of like PG-13, this show, because there's some language in there, unfortunately, but that's the way it is.
Got it. I'm not 100% committed to trying this, but I'm curious. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I would say like One Piece would be a good one to start with if you're just interested in something. I mean, it's like a pirate show. Dragon Ball Z is like the original. That's what I grew up on. Dragon Ball Z. The Last Airbender, that's like another Avatar. The Last Airbender, that's like a popular one. I watched through some of that. Those are the ones that I would say, they're worth checking out. I would say, if you're going from couch to anime, there's typically two ways you can watch it. You can watch it the sub, which is reading subtitles as things are happening, or you can watch the dub, which is where they take English voice actors and voice over things. So typically, like we're, here in the Mayhew household, we're still in the dub category where we're listening to English. But if you want to advance, you read the subtitles. You suck it up.
That's kind of the bougie crowd, would you say?
the bougie anime crowd.
Bougie anime crowd.
Yeah, they're the ones that care about what coffee beans you're grinding.
The elitists, yeah. Okay. So every genre has their kind, I mean, that's a common thing.
Probably the most popular anime in recent days was Attack on Titan. And that was one with these giant human beings that run around and like eat people. I mean, it's pretty. I wouldn't recommend it just because it's not kid friendly, and it is. It's hard to watch sometimes. I'll just say that. But
noted.
My kids aren't watching that one yet.
Well, I did not anticipate this at the beginning of the podcast, but that's what's fun about this is you just never know what direction it's going to go in.
That's right.
It's great. What's your FunHawg moment for the week, Butch?
All right. Well, my FunHawg moment happened over the weekend. Summer has ended. School has started. And a part of our summer reading program in the Mayhew household was, we allowed any of our kids that wanted to make a goal for reading to commit to a goal. And if they accomplished that goal, they got to do something special. So the girls, they participated. And I took them to Top It Off, which is a, build your own yogurt froyo place. Yeah, 69 cents an ounce. It hurts. But we walked out of there with an $18 bill and 3 small cups of yogurt. I did partake. I took them. I'm like, well, we're just going to eat it. We're going to have a good time. I'm going to suck up my cheapness and just like roll with it, because it was kind of hard to hand over, to make that payment. But we did it. The girls, I didn't really put any limits on them this time, outside of like how much yogurt they got. Once they got enough, I'm like, that's enough yogurt. Go get some toppings. And all of their yogurt turned like gray. They just, they mix it all together. I'm like, how can that be good? They're like, it's great, Dad. I'm like, okay. So I'm over here with like one or two flavors that kind of go together, and some good sweet toppings, and they just went wild. But they enjoyed it. That's a place that I don't like to take them, but for special occasions, it's worth it, and it was great.
That's awesome. What a great one. What's your at the froyo place? That per ounce pricing is difficult. I always look at the toppings and my brain starts trying to figure out what's the best bang for my buck here. Like what's a lightweight add-on that I can get that's going to give me good.
It's the square cheesecake bites.
Square cheesecake bites.
Or marshmallows. Any marshmallows?
Yeah.
You get the volume without the weight, without the mass. Yeah. Science words.
Yeah, this froyo, it was such a great concept when it started.
It was 39 cents an ounce.
Yeah. Their per ounce prices have really gone up. We had one, we went the other day to froyo, and they had tips. And, I ended up tipping, actually. Typically, when I'm presented with a tip interface, I almost always ask the worker, hey, do you actually receive the tips? And I'll say, about a year ago, oftentimes they would say not really or whatever. They get now almost everyone says yes, it gets distributed to the workers, right? Which makes me feel a little bit torn. But at a froyo place, it is truly self-serve. I made my own. I had to walk through and press all the machines. You just took my payment, but these
and potentially clean the table and
that's
clean
a fair
the areas.
Point.
So
that doesn't seem tip worthy, right? Like that's just the standard cost of running the business. They're a paid employee of the business should be paying them an appropriate, whatever the appropriate amount is. The tipping is out of control in the United States, and I don't know how to fix it because I right, like the person who is on the end of my whether or not I choose to be a generous tipper. Like that person could really benefit from the tip, right? So like that side of me thinks, oh, I should be generous to this person. that would be a really, really helpful contribution for them, right? They're working hard. But somehow the businesses need to step up and fix this issue. I don't have a solution. Do you have any solutions?
I don't have any solutions, so I wish I did.
Maybe it'll come up later in the episode.
Maybe.
All right, my FunHawg moment. I don't know if you heard, but the Olympics have been going on, Butch.
Aren't they over?
They just ended, yeah.
They're over. Yeah.
Okay, great. Glad you heard, because we talked about it on the last episode with Beth. Actually, I wonder about her trip. A little follow up on that episode. She was going to the Taylor Swift concert in Vienna.
She was going to
two, and they both got canceled.
I saw that.
Man, feel really bad for you, Beth, but I bet she had a good time. I saw a picture somewhere, LinkedIn or something. But my FunHawg moment is all about the Olympics. We had such a good time watching a ton of Olympic events, but specifically the gold medal game for basketball. Did you watch that?
I saw some highlights. I did not watch it.
We watched every second. We watched most every second of basketball coverage. We're big basketball fans. Team USA, super fun. I mean, it's one of the greatest teams ever assembled in terms of talent. But the very end of it, it was incredible, Butch. I mean, the game was just close enough, right? The U.S. kind of held France at bay. We were up by kind of 8-10 points most of the game. And in the fourth quarter, France makes a run late. And you're like, what?
What's happening?
No way. And then Steph Curry, we've seen we've seen Steph Curry make threes plenty of times in his career. We've seen him hit 5 threes, 10 threes in a game. Like, that's actually not that big of a deal. Like, him hit ridiculous shots. But to do it in the clutch, in a gold medal game, it was miraculous.
How many threes did he hit?
So I believe it was 4 in the last 2 minutes, and they each kind of increased with difficulty level. And boy, we just soaked up every second. We were going bananas, running around the house. And when the last one he hit, at that point the game was truly over. And I mean, we were going absolutely nuts. It was super fun. We went back and watched in slow motion, and he's, after he's hit the shot, he's kind of walking back, and of course he's got a bunch of swag. He's just feeling really good about himself. But you see, there's this French guy in the arena, and he's just like, get out of here, man. Like, that was ridiculous,
I mean, it's like it went from like the Cobra to like, get out.
Right, yeah, he's like, just get out of here.
Go home.
Leave my country. Take your gold medal and go away. But man, Steph Curry, what a moment for him to just, I mean, he's a fairly old player. I think he's maybe 36 years old. He's dreamed of being in the Olympics. He's accomplished everything you could hope to accomplish in an NBA career, and what a cool moment for him to end on. And
I saw a few pictures where LeBron and others were wide open, and he's just taking the shot.
Yeah, I mean,
draining it.
Kevin Durant was like the all-time, Olympic basketball scoring leader is wide open because Steph Curry's being double teamed 25 feet away from the basket, and he still delivered. I mean, that was incredible.
Good times, man. Good times.
It's fun to watch. I think it's the one thing about sports that makes the real-time connection. I mean, that's the unique aspect of sport. There's still something magical about watching it unfold in real time. So, yay for sports.
So did y'all watch it like real time, or did you watch like the Olympics prime time where it was recorded? And
we didn't watch almost any of the. I guess that's not quite right. We did watch some of the prime time in Paris. Everything that we really wanted to watch, we mostly consumed real time, because all the sports channels, they kind of ruin it for you.
They tell you.
Yeah. And then even YouTube, it will say like, hey, watch whatever, this guy having an incredible gold medal run on the 1500. And you're like, well, how about just tell me, watch the 1500. Yeah. It's worth your time. And don't.
They got to be the first one to publish. Got to get those likes, those views.
Right. And it's the clickbaity titles, right? Like, obviously, it's you're probably getting more clicks on gold medal finish. But I saw an interesting, on that note, saw an interesting article on I think it was Hacker News, but it was somebody had transformed YouTube back into as if it had TV channels. So you would watch like YouTube, you'd be YouTube Sports or something like that, and you would see sports content, but it's going through in real time, similar to the way TV worked when we were kids, where I remember it with SportsCenter, like they would kind of tease, hey, we've got top 10 web gem highlights coming up next, and then you go
to commercial,
you
or
go to
other things,
right? But you'd go eat your cereal and then get distracted and you come back and you're like, I missed it. That's what I wanted to watch, and it was just gone. I mean, or SportsCenter would come on again the next hour. But I think that it's interesting how, in many ways, being able to specifically or explicitly choose the content you want to see is great, right? Hey, I want to watch this exactly. But in the comment thread, people were even talking about like Netflix. There's a lot of decision fatigue from just, hey, what do I want to watch tonight versus, I mean, I don't know that TV was like the greatest thing of all time, but yeah, there was a sense of, you could catch something that was on, or there was a moment happening, that sort of thing. So kind of interesting to see society wrestle with synchronous and asynchronous, and just what's the right patterns, what's ideal. So
I have no idea what the right pattern is. I would prefer asynchronous over synchronous, even though the decision can be hard because you're presented with all these options. I would much rather either decide, hey, I'm going to turn this off and not watch anything, or pick something specifically I want to watch. So I think it makes it a little easier for me, maybe. But yeah, I also grew up in the age that we grew up in, right? I don't know how I would react if I've never, experienced what I experienced as a kid. So
yeah, but I think there's something beautiful to humanity just experiencing things at the same time. I mean, we're having a lot of fun because it's synchronized, and also something to, I think ephemeral that's the proper usage of it, where it comes and it goes and it's gone and it's not recorded. I'm a big fan of that, right? Just experience the moment in real time. So
very nice. Well, talking about all these things led me to a story for our word of the week. Our word is cone.
Cone.
Not
directly related to food,
but indirectly.
Perhaps. Probably gonna get some food in here.
But going to watching TV and stuff. One of the shows I watched as a elementary / middle school, probably closer to elementary, was Coneheads. Have you seen this movie?
Quickly, because I want to hear what you got to say about Coneheads. My contribution was going to be, Coneheads is one of those movies that I've heard people talk about. It feels like something I should have seen at some point, and I've just never watched it. And I can't even imagine taking the time to go back and watch it now. Like, it seems ridiculous.
I don't want to watch it now, but I remember as a kid, and we had our TV channels. If you had cable, you had a lot of TV channels. If you didn't have cable, you had very few TV channels. Coneheads was not on our TV, because we didn't have a lot of channels. But, this led me back to just a memory that I was like, oh, man, I was a bad kid. Okay, as a child who was left at home alone over the summers, parents went to work. Me and my sister hung around the house. Keep the door locked. All that. Don't answer strangers. That was us. But we had to find ways to entertain ourselves. And I like to learn how things work. And we used to have cable, but we didn't have cable one of the summers, maybe a couple of the summers. I can't remember. And I remember going outside and just, you're walking outside, you're exploring. And I remember seeing like, oh, the TV is right through that window. I wonder what's over here. And I see, oh, that's the cable box. And there's just a cable hanging out here that's disconnected. So I was like, well, like, what happens if I take this cable and actually like plug it into the house, which was like the socket was on the other end. And, it was working.
Magic.
It was live. I mean, today's morals, I would not do that. I would go call the cable company and pay for it. But as a child, as a bad kid, I broke the rules. And, before the parents came home, I'd go and unplug it, So, I knew I was doing wrong.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I watched Coneheads and other things that probably shouldn't have been watching as a youngin' on the TV, on the cable TV. So is it like nostalgic, like a movie that I can relate to is like Monty Python and the Holy Grail? As like it's nothing like that. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't really have a desire to watch Coneheads.
Okay.
I just remember I watched that movie a lot because on HBO and some of these channels they would just play the same movie 4 times a day, and I watched it more than once. I can't remember all of it. I just remember the guy talked like in a really high pitch, crazy stuff. But the same actor is like the bad guy in Tommy Boy, so you can kind of picture that, except he's way more goofy. So
you do or you do not recommend Coneheads to our listeners?
If you want to watch Coneheads, go watch Coneheads. I'm not going to recommend it.
Dodges the question.
Yeah, dodges the question. I will not recommend it, but if you're intrigued, go check it out. It's a movie about aliens. So
there you go, Coneheads.
There you go.
Are you familiar with the cone of shame?
Like the dunce cap? I remember like growing up, you wear a dunce cap in the corner. I never did that, or I didn't know about it, but I read about it in books. Is this
I don't
the
know
cone
about
of
that.
shame?
I'm referring to the cone of shame that you put on dogs.
But yes, I do now. Yes.
The cone of shame, like generally after
so they don't bite themselves.
Yeah,
They don't bite their blisters out. Yeah.
They don't lick their wounds. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was excited about the pod tonight, and was thinking about the cone of shame, and then I went to work today, and my business partner shows up, and he brought his dog, and he had just had dog surgery, and so he showed up in the cone of shame, or he had it there with him. So I was playing with the cone of shame just today. But yeah, it's always really sad when you see dogs with that. My dogs have always hated it, and they tell me like keep it on for 10 days. It's like, what? No way. The dog's like running into the wall with the cone. You're like, yeah, this is. I don't know how many of those get sold a year, but too many, right?
Too many.
Like nobody's actually using those at home. So we should get rid of the cone of shame, and dogs everywhere would be a big fan of this podcast.
Maybe that's the goal. Maybe it's our new target audience.
New target audience.
Are you a dog between ages 1 and 14?
Yeah. I think dog years you'd be all the way up to 80, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
All right, other cones. We got traffic cones.
Yep.
You got
traffic. So I've got some traffic cone stories.
Ooh, let's hear a traffic cone story.
We're gonna start with Halo, the game Halo.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with this game?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You ever play Halo 3?
So my Halo experience. So I was really big into GoldenEye, and I was a local legend in GoldenEye.
Local legend.
Yeah, remote mines in the complex. I can probably still strafe my way to victory, but so Halo kind of followed that. It was different consoles, but that was kind of how it came out, and then
Halo 3 would have been after college, probably.
Yeah. By this point, I was whatever. Basically newbie, was the only status I ever got to. I think that was when I would like be the guy who's like jumping that didn't understand which inversion we were doing.
Yeah, looking up instead of running.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, in Halo 3, there's like a famous YouTube video. It's got over 4 million views. We'll link it in the comments. But in Halo 3, they had projectiles or things that would move within like the arena as you faced other people. This is typically like 4v4, capture the flag, or Slayer or whatever. And there's this video of a guy who shoots basically a barrel that explodes, and there's a cone near it, and it flies and hits him, and he dies from it.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing this. Yeah.
So there's like lots of times you can actually die from cones in Halo, and that's like there's even like dedicated videos on how do you get a cone kill in Halo 3 or whatever. I think there's even an achievement. But when we started thinking about cones, I was like, man, I remember those days. I remember Halo and cones, and always trying to do that. I never got a cone kill that I'm aware of or that I remember, but I have been killed by a cone more than once. I think one was actually me shooting it and like the cone hitting me, and that's embarrassing.
Man, so I've got a crazy cone story. So this was a childhood friend who shall remain nameless, but we'll say he was just being a hooligan. And this was, I don't know, we were maybe 16, 17, so we were driving, certainly. But
you know better.
Yeah, just out for trouble on a Friday night in Sumter, South Carolina. And yeah, they decided it would be a good idea, but they decided it would be an idea to retrieve some traffic cones, and they were just trying to scare other drivers. And so it was like driving, holding them outside of a truck window and then throwing them. And these are like the soft cones, but throwing them at other drivers' windshield. So you just, you're driving and all of a sudden, a cone. Yeah, it's terrible. You should never do that.
This.
That's the worst thing ever, right? But it turns out they threw one, and it went into a windshield, and it busted the windshield. I mean, I don't know. Similar to a cone kill, it must have just been an incredible act of physics. But that happened to be a police car.
Ooh.
Man. You want to talk about getting busted.
So he got pulled over.
He got busted. So I don't recall how long that journey it took him to recover from. But yeah, man, what a poor decision.
Don't play with cones on the road.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and say that.
Yeah.
But if you do want to play with cones, I have a perfect game for you.
You got a cone game?
It's a cone game. All right. This is a cone game with giant street cones. I'm not talking about your little 6-inch, marker cones for like soccer practice. I'm talking about the 36, waist high cones that, weigh kilograms.
The proper cone shape, or are we talking about like the rounded
I'm talking about
cylinders?
a proper like orange street cone that you'd find.
Black on the bottom.
Yep.
Bright orange. Yeah, I got you.
You'd find at a church crosswalk, right? You have people crossing the thing, put it in the middle, and you got people stopping along the way. Well, at Philadelphia Baptist Church, where I was involved with the Philadelphia, we called ourselves the Philly Youth. And maybe there's some listeners that listen at some point.
This is Philadelphia, Birmingham, Alabama.
Philadelphia Baptist in Birmingham, Alabama. This is where I went to church as a high schooler, and we had a youth pastor that allowed us to do things that wouldn't be allowed today. We'll just say that. Which I think they would say the same thing about their youth pastors.
Yeah,
so everything's
every generation. Every generation. Yeah.
But he allowed us to play games at night, like 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night, when all the lights are out and there's just like the exit sign glow in the hallways around the church. And so we actually brainstormed one day on what would a game look like of capture the flag inside the church. How would we play it? So as a group of youth, we came up with some rules, and the flags were giant road cones. So everybody, we kind of split the church in half. One church had like the sanctuary side with like the choir room and all that stuff. The other side, they had like the youth building, the youth zone, where there's a bunch of couches and whatnot. And you had to pick a room. You had to place the cone in the middle of the room, and you were not allowed to close doors or anything like that. And the rule was you had to grab the cone, the enemy cone, and bring it back to your cone, and that's how you win. But you had to also have life. And we're inside, inside a church, a church walkway. So, we're talking like, 8 to 10 feet hallways? It's not big. So, for life, we use clothespins. And this was genius. So clothespins, we would take our shoulders, kind of bunch up our shirt, clip the clothespin on so it stuck out. That was one of the rules. And you could have them on either side.
It's like flag football.
It's like flag football, except inside. If you're playing cone or capture the flag outside, the flags are great.
Yeah.
But inside, you can actually have life over here on your left arm, life on your right arm. And, as you collected life, you have to clip it on. So you might have like 8 life on both arms, and other people are walking around with no life, and they have to go find a teammate to go get a life to get back in and play. So it was this game of like, I don't know, like kung fu wrestling, except we're not wrestling. We're just trying to grab each other's, clothespins off your shoulders. A lot of fun. But that's kind of how we did life. And a lot of stories. There were a couple people, like I remember this one guy that like slammed into like a water fountain that was in the hallway. I mean, he got hurt. Like, I feel bad, man. But that happened. But we all survived. There was blood a couple nights. But
he ran out of life.
he ran out of life. Yeah. But ton of fun, ton of great memories. Just running around the church, trying to be sneaky, and at the middle of the night, Cone, the game. Cone, capture the flag.
Cone, capture the flag. I loved the idea of capture the flag, but it just seemed like the game just never. I would get so excited when we play with a big group. It just always devolved into arguments and rule breakers.
I had a lot of those as young kids, or just walking around aimlessly, like, where's this flag? This thing is too big. This is not fun anymore.
Or it's like a golf ball that they like hit under leaves or something. It's like.
This had like, there was only a certain amount of rooms. You had to put it in the middle of the room, and I think we had a rule: only one person could guard it, basically, or maybe you couldn't have a guard in the room. So we kind of made it where if you got in the room, you're kind of safe, but once you get out, it's like you're going to be confronted with people. But I don't know, it was fun. I agree, though. I've had some times where just capture the flag.
It needs to be refereed.
Yeah.
How about, here's a great idea. I'm going to take that back. Here's an idea. What about capture the flag Olympic edition? I mean, I feel like we got some Olympic sports that, let's be honest, nobody's watching. I mean,
I think before capture the flag, though, like, I don't know if you could do capture the flag like Cone Olympic edition, unless you had like a course. Have you seen these like professional taggers?
Is it kind of like paintball? I don't think I've seen this.
Well, I mean, professional taggers is like, they're kind of like, I don't know. It's a slippery slope. Once you start Googling this on YouTube and it gets on your feed and you're like, I gotta see what happens. But it's like this maze of like ramps and stuff, and it's tag. But
like
it's
parkour
like
kind of deal?
It's parkour plus tag. Like, people are like diving at people to tag them before the time runs out. And I could see if it was like a course like that where you have all these different things, obstacles on the way. I mean, I could see that being a thing, but I would want like ultimate frisbee to make it to, the Olympic sports before capture the flag. But
disc golf too. I mean, these would be great Olympic sports. I mean, the best disc golfers all competing. That would be super fun.
That would be fun to watch.
Yeah, capture the flag Olympic edition. It would be interesting to see.
It's an idea.
World-class athletes with referees. I think that's the key. The problem was not the game. The problem was officiating the game.
Yeah, and putting the right rules and making it fair and all those things. So
yeah, I regret my idea. Any sport that requires referees to be good is probably not a good sport. So take it back. All right, I'm really excited. Cones, not just a silly topic. Cones are a very important geometric shape, Butch.
They are.
And so I paired up with my buddy ChatGPT.
Mr. Jippity, some people refer to him as.
I hadn't heard that one. That's good. So here's what I came up with was we would have a little bit of a cone trivia segment.
All right.
I don't know a ton about geometric cones, I'll be honest. And so I was trying to think of how do I get it to give me good trivia questions. So I came up with, I want a 40-year-old adult male. I didn't say male. I just said a 40-year-old adult should have a 50% chance of getting these questions right.
Oh, that's a good prompt.
And then I threw it out there. And then I asked my boys, the Cook boys, how they thought you would do. One of them, who shall remain nameless, said 0 out of 5. Mr. Butch doesn't seem like a math guy.
Oh man, Come on, guys. Come on.
So you're up against it here, but
All right. Well, expectations are low.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
But before we get into the question, I just don't want you to feel bad. I thought these were pretty hard for 50% of the adult 40-year-old population. I don't think ChatGPT has a very good understanding of the adult population that I interact with, but so I ended up going with give me questions that 75% would get correct. And then that seemed more likely.
Sounds good.
And then I also did 10%, which it also struggled with. The 10%ers were, they just didn't quite hit. So we'll go with the 50%ers here and just see how you do. But
all right,
no shame. Put yourself out there. All right. What is the formula for calculating the volume of a cone?
It would be the circumference, radius, obtuse angle. Final answer.
Close, but it was 1/3 times base area times height. Almost. All right,
Close.
This one's true or false, which I think is
All right,
helpful.
This is better odds.
True or false, a cone has exactly one edge.
True.
That is false.
What do you mean it's false? What other edge?
A cone has one curved surface and one circular base, but no edges in the traditional sense.
There's an edge where the circle meets. There's an edge, man. That's wrong.
Okay.
ChatGPT's wrong.
See, this
lying
is
to you.
This is like capture the flag. Like I tagged you. Like
I mean,
no, you didn't.
It was almost two, right? But I thought like the top point of a cone, that would not be a surface, right? Or that would not be an edge. That's
Right.
like a point. But where the cone comes out and there's an opening or there's a circle, right? I mean, in my mind, that is an edge. But maybe.
Feel free to disagree. Maybe
Yeah.
ChatGPT was hallucinating. All right, this one's the most difficult question. If a cone has a height of 9 centimeters and a radius of 3 centimeters, what is its volume? And then this is beautiful here. It says you can round your answer to 2 decimal places. Good luck.
Oh man, 9 and 3 centimeters.
Correct.
And I'm looking for volume, so I'm not even looking for centimeters. I'm looking for grams,
Yeah, centimeters cubed.
centimeters cubed. That's not a measurement, is it? I guess it is. Okay. I'm
gonna
gonna
go with
guess.
extra hint here for you. It's less than 100.
No, I assume that. That.
Clearly.
But I'm gonna say 71.91.
You were within 15, which is pretty good.
That's pretty good.
84.82. All right.
That was my eyeball. That was my guesstimation magic.
All right, question 4. What is the name of the line segment that connects the vertex of the cone to the center of its base?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. So I'll say this is definitely a word you know. I don't know if you know it in this context.
Sure.
But what is the name of the line segment that connects the vertex of the cone to the center of its base? So kind of straight through the cone.
That would be the plane of straightness.
Close, but it was altitude. That's what we were looking for. Thank you, Butch. All right.
Plane altitude, that counts, right?
Yeah, plane. Yeah, see, it's similar.
I was on the right track.
Little word association. Yeah. All right, last question. In geometry, what is the difference between a right cone and an oblique cone?
A right cone is symmetrical, where an oblique cone is not.
I'm going to accept that answer because the specific was in a right cone, the vertex is directly above the center of the base, is straight. whereas in an oblique cone, the vertex is not aligned vertically above the center of the base. Outstanding work, Butch.
There it is. Close enough.
Yeah, you nailed
All
it.
right. Yeah, take that, cook kid that didn't believe in your dad's friend.
You just said Mr. Butch doesn't seem like a math guy.
You know what? I mean, I actually started out as a math major. And, I was like, I could teach math. I could see that, right? And, I got into Cal 1. I was like, okay, I was able to pass. Yeah, I could barely understand my professor. Cal 2, I got out with a D. And I said, I don't think math is for me. And end up with a social work degree. There it is.
Just keep fighting, Butch. Keep fighting.
Keep fighting the fight.
All
Those
right.
are some good ones, though. Those are good ones.
Yeah. It brought me back to Flatland. Geometry weighed heavily on me, and Flatland as a book was just absolute torture to get through.
I don't even know what that book is.
Oh, man. It's a book about shapes.
Were you forced to read this
Well,
in school?
It's like a one-dimensional world is a dot, and it turns into a two-dimensional world as a line, and and then you have
And this is a book,
Yeah.
not even visual. Were
Yeah.
they pictures?
No, there are no pictures. Yeah, it kind of a book that I actually really enjoyed that most people did not is Animal Farm. The book. I
didn't ever read it.
Oh man, it's about animals, but it's really about politics.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if you're able to kind of follow along with that, then that's pretty interesting. I think Flatland has some really abstract concepts that are interesting, but man, 10th grade boys probably not the time to read it. So, you got any other cone topics before we
I
get?
do.
Okay. What you got?
I know you talked about souvenirs in one of the previous episodes, and it got me thinking: are there any cone souvenirs? Can you think of any? I think cheap toys that you may or may not be able to get from the dentist office also falls in this category.
Is it cone?
It's a cone. You ever seen those ice cream cone shooters where you kind of pop the foam thing on and you pop people in the head? It's kind of like a pop gun, except that spongy thing can actually hit people. But my daughter, she actually picked one of those out from her dentist office. So we've got one floating around somewhere.
Trinket,
in our house.
if you will.
A trinket, yeah.
Yeah.
A souvenir for going to the dentist. And,
Yeah, I like it.
getting your teeth cleaned. Cone in a TV show. Can you think of any cones in TV shows?
Conan O'Brien.
Conan O'Brien. Look at that. That counts.
Cones in a TV show. I'm thinking the movie. What's it called? Was it Speed? Was that the? I'm pretty sure it was Speed.
That was a bus.
Yeah, that was with the bus. It had to stay above a certain speed.
Yep.
Surely they ran over some cones. I actually used that in a. I was troubleshooting a production issue with one of my clients today, and he said it felt like we were in an action movie, and I sent him a GIF from Speed, trying to save the bus. But yeah, I can't think of any other famous movie cones. What you got?
Movies or TV shows.
Movies or TV.
How about you ever see Toy Story 2?
Definitely seen it, but can't place it.
Can't place it. Well, Toy Story 2, when these toys come alive and they're trying to rescue people. There's one scene that always just stuck in my head, and it was when the toys put cones over and they crossed a busy street. I think in Las Vegas. I think that's where they were. I'm not for certain, but they crossed this busy street with cones, and there's cars going all around, and the toys make it just fine, but there's this huge car wreck. But that came to mind, and then Cars, which is Cars. They stay in the Cozy Cone Motel or whatever with Lightning McQueen. I thought about that, and that led me, a couple hops later, I was reminded of one of my favorite TV scenes from Parks and Recreation.
Ooh, yeah, great show.
Do you remember Ben Wyatt and the Cones of Dunshire? This is the the game that he created after he was fired.
Yes.
For basically being in a relationship with Leslie and not telling and hiding it. So he got fired. He created this game, and he's kind of like down on himself. But he was making this cool thing. He was really into it. Everybody was like really worried about him, and basically, you kind of forget about it for a while, but it comes back in a later. Spoiler alert if you haven't watched all the Parks and Recs, but later down, he actually goes to this like fancy tech startup, and he sees, oh, that's my game, Cones of Dunshire, and these people are playing it, and he comes in and challenges them and says, hey, I want you to listen to my pitch to get free Wi-Fi for our city. That's kind of why he was there, and said, hey, let me challenge you to a game, and if I win, hear my pitch out again.
Sure.
And he comes in and he plays it like a magician, and at the end he's like, I'm the architect. He's the creator of the game. So everybody was like, oh, but it was a very geeky moment for someone who enjoys like very complex, long board games. It was a good time. Lots of laughs.
Awesome. Great reference there, man. Cones of Dunshire.
Cones of Dunshire.
I'll have to go back and watch that segment.
Yep.
We were talking about this at the dinner table, just cones. Anybody have any good cone stories? And my wife went on a pretty big rant about how ice cream cones were the dumbest thing ever invented.
I want to hear about it. You gotta share it.
I tried to get her to come on, but she actually went to bed. So I was like, this would be great, just to have a big rant. But yeah, I don't know that my boys have ever eaten an ice cream cone, because we get cups, because that's a reasonable decision to make for a big ball of wet, melty food.
Even at like Chick-fil-A, where you're getting like a small kid cone, you trade in your book for an ice cream cone. You don't make them get cups.
They actually have had cones,
okay,
but they didn't. They probably didn't have cones until they were 5. I mean,
you don't buy them for the house.
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
Well, anytime anytime there's an option between cup or cone, almost all my boys will. They don't even ask. They're like, "I'll get the cup." That's it. That's what a reasonable decision would be. So,
I mean, I could see that for younger kids under 5, right? But at some point, kids are more aware and are less likely to make a mess. But I remember eating a lot of ice cream cones at Baskin Robbins at the Eastwood Mall in Irondale. My grandmother, she would take me and maybe my sister there, and she would just walk the track. Any like track walkers at malls back in the day?
Oh yeah, mall walkers for sure.
Yeah. So my grandmother, she was a mall walker, and so we used to come and we would kind of like run beside her while she was kind of doing her walk, and typically afterwards, hey Nana, you mind taking us to Baskin Robbins? And she'd take us there, and I get a cone with chocolate peanut butter ice cream. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I'm a cup guy. My wife's converted me over. She won me over.
Wonderful.
All right. We got our weekly what?
Weekly what?
What video entertainment are you consuming these days?
Yeah. So talked a little bit about anime and what me and the boys have been watching there, but one movie we've watched over the past, I guess it was about a week and a half ago, was Ready Player One.
Classic.
Which, it's not really that classic. It's still like 1999 to not 1999. That's like 2019, right? When it came out. It's not classic. Either way, yeah, Google it. Tell me I'm wrong. It's recent. It's pretty recent. But we watched that with the kids. That movie's actually really good. This is probably this second or third time I've watched it, and I enjoyed it more this time than I did the first or second times. The first and second time, I was still very upset at how they changed a lot of things from the book. It was hard for me to enjoy it, but once I just accepted it for what it was, and I saw like my kids really enjoyed it, I'm like, okay, I can like it a little more now. But the book, I love it. It's fantastic. I've started listening to it again on Audible. So like this will be my third time listening to it. So it's
There
good.
you go. Ready Player One, 2018. Pre-COVID, feels like anything that happened before COVID could be a classic at this point. I mean,
Fair. That's fair.
there's a pretty big dividing line for human history.
That's fair. Well, what have you been watching?
I'm going to recycle the Olympics. We watched a lot of the Olympics, and the running, men's running was just incredible. The U.S. men's team did phenomenal, particularly we've often dominated in, all the kind of short track races, or at least we've thrived, I should say. We haven't dominated, but we've thrived in the, 100 meter, 200, 400, all that. But had a really strong performance in the 5K and the 1500 meter and the 10K. That was great. All of them. I just thoroughly enjoyed the running. There were just a lot of really close finishes. Yeah, love the Olympics.
Yeah, good stuff, man. Good
It's a
stuff.
classic.
Is it a classic?
The Olympics.
Olympics in general.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Yeah,
That's fair.
it's classic. Yeah. All right,
classic.
we got a lot of listener feedback, so buckle up.
Let's do it.
The YouTube shorts have been finding the best of the internet has found our YouTube shorts, and they've got things that they would like for us to see.
All right, let's hear it.
I think so. This was in reference to the glove episode when it was the segment where Tim was asked about Gary Payton, the glove, and some stats. Dang, Tim got them all off the dome like that.
You read it wrong.
Dang,
Tim.
Tim.
Got them all off the dome like that.
Thank you for correcting me there. Really appreciate that comment, Daniel Del Real 9658. Tim does have an incredible mind for basketball. All right, next up we've got at Jim900. Appreciate you not having too many numbers after your name. And this was also in reference to the glove episode, which you were a part of, I was a part of, and Tim was a part of. Jim would like us to know that you are allowed to just chat with friends without having a pod, guys.
Oh, man. I love it.
I'll
take that feedback.
I know, that's great feedback, Jim. I did want you to know we do chat sometimes just as friends, independent of the pod, but we have a lot of fun with the pod too. So we're going to keep it going, but appreciate that. All right. And now, this is great. All right. We got Oh Nah 666 chimes in. This was in reference to peanut butter, jelly, and butter sandwiches. That's called a heart disease, Sammy. So, Oh Nah 666. I think you're right about that one. Really appreciate that thought.
Peanut butter, and butter, and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
That's good.
Then we get some on howdy@funhawg.com. Always appreciate emails there. From a listener, John. Just listen to brunch. In my opinion, you can't have brunch without some good old pigs in a blanket. I have to agree with you there, John.
Left that one off.
That is,
unfortunately.
we left that off. That's a Christmas morning delicacy in my wife's family that we really enjoy.
Question: do you ever do like the pigs without the blankets that are just swimming in the stew?
I was about to say I'm literally going to get corrected at the next family gathering. We don't do pigs in a blanket. We do little smokies, is what we call those, and so it's just the hot dogs and the sauce, but pretty close to pigs in a blanket.
You just need some biscuits you can put it in, or some croissants to wrap it in. You're good.
All set. Yeah, he had a couple other thoughts he wanted to share. If you find the right ones, especially homemade, they can be the best thing on the table. Hot take. Also, don't forget about hash browns. He really likes the song Good Day by Forrest Frank. He likes that better than Up.
I've been listening to some Forrest Frank.
It's good.
It is.
I'm glad you're rotating it.
I played it for my oldest daughter on the way while I was dropping her off for school, and it's like, what do you think about this? She's like, it's okay. Come on, it's good, right?
It's okay. Yeah. You can't make her feel any specific way about it.
That's okay.
He recommends Skillet's new single called Unpopular. Have you heard that one?
I haven't listened to it yet.
I haven't either, but I might check that out. He's all in on the 5K.
All right.
And really appreciates us sharing our fun moments with him. Oink, oink, he says.
All right.
All right, that's all the listener feedback I got. Listeners, really appreciate that, especially all you YouTubers. I'm personally a little biased towards Oh666. Hope he's got some more, he or she has some more comments in the future.
Yeah, bring the truth. We want to hear it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I'll give you an update on the 5K.
5K update.
I haven't done any running.
Shame. No running.
Shame. I haven't done running
since
the last episode. So
it's been hot.
Yeah, it's on me, man. I like what you said last, maybe 2 or 3 times ago. You said, "When's the next time you're going to run?" I think that's what you messaged me.
Got to plan it.
And I'm gonna get it planned, and it's gonna happen. It'll happen before the end of the weekend, probably Saturday. But I just have to work around my dad duties. So it's either going to be early in the morning or in the evening. I think I'm going to try the early morning thing. I think that's going to work better. So
it's really nice to get out of the heat, especially. I mean, I know it's really early, but if you can get out before the sun comes up, that's real primo. But
I'll have to give that. I mean, my problem is I stay up too late after the sun goes down. That's my problem on that. But
that's tough if you're a night owl. Yeah,
that is a personal problem here.
I've got an early morning run tomorrow. I'm meeting some fellas for breakfast and running before that. So.
Oh, buddy, what time are you waking up?
Let's see, we're running at 5:40, so probably 5:15.
Okay, that's
impressive.
I'm gonna try to meet some guys for breakfast tomorrow too. So.
Yeah. You can have pigs in a blanket?
I wasn't planning on running beforehand. Maybe I should rethink this.
It's great. You kind of prepay for your meal. I mean, and prepay calorie-wise.
All right, let me ask this question. So I was talking with our good friend Brian, and he believes, and I want to run this by my coach, Coach Matt. He believes that if I just get out every day and run half a mile, that is good. That's better than what I'm doing now, which is haven't run in a while. What are your thoughts on running 3 miles in a week over a daily or every other day type pace? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
just tell them how it is, man.
Sure, you've been pretty inconsistent, so I think anything that gets you running more, just in general, total volume would be the indicator. So yes, it's probably better to run half a mile a day than to run 1 mile every other week. But yeah, you also have to just give your body a chance to adjust, right? Like running every day is pretty taxing. Sometimes people will do, just run 1 mile every day and see how many days in a row they can do it. And I've seen some people do some incredible streaks. Alongside, I tried it once. I think I did 125 or something like that. But we had somebody that shipped who did over 500 days in a row.
Wow.
And I mean,
over a year.
Yeah, I know. Just over a year, just kept running every day, and it's like brushing your teeth, though, right? Like you probably have a pretty long. Hopefully, you have a pretty long brushing your teeth streak, and if not, please don't mention that. But once you get in that habit, it becomes almost weird to you wouldn't want to skip it, right?
Gotcha.
So, yeah, anything you're doing more. I think it's better to do small efforts that don't, just totally tax you.
Right.
But at the same time, you got to recognize, are you going to get sweaty and put on your shoes? Like at half a mile, you're getting sweaty, right?
I mean, I'm getting sweaty in half a mile.
I am
definitely.
Too,
so
it's hot.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you got?
I'm all done.
All right, we're going to spin the wheel. Gotta bring the wheel over. Here we go.
Hang on, I always like to have a word I'm cheering for. Action figure. Silly Goose is what I'm cheering for.
Silly Goose, that's what we're cheering for. Here, let me just kind of pop it over here. Are we ready? Here we go. Doc.
What?
It's Doc.
Duck?
Doc.
Duck.
D-O-C-K. Like,
D-O-C-
you know, the Doc, like, appear.
The thing. Yeah, I got you, Doc.
Doc.
D-O-C-K.
Bring your Doc stories.
Doc stories. Okay. Looking forward to that one.
Thanks for spending some time with us. I'm Butch.
I'm Matt. Go forth and hog some fun.
So crazy.
I am.
Let's go, Matt.
Was I in the national data breach? That's terrifying.